Hi guys, James from DBG and welcome to another video. As you can see, for a change for me over the past few weeks, we're going to be talking about bolt action. And we're going to be talking about bolt action's new foray into a different war. This was actually released, I think, on the 9th of August. And we're now almost at the 20th, or around there, depending when I release this video. I actually pre-ordered this and it actually arrived on the day of release, which is very cool. And unless you've been living under a rock, they've been working on the Korean War, which is a not very well known war, and it's the first proper war of the Cold War. It started 5 years after the end of the Second World War, and millions of people died, mainly Koreans, north and south, and the Chinese took a massive toll as well. But it's all about the resurgence of communism and the Western powers wanting to stop communism. And if you pre-ordered it, or when you buy it, you also get this figure here, which is called Frozen Chosin, which is a US Marine. I believe he's on with a BAR. Yes, he's got a BAR. Now, Chosin was a reservoir in North Korea, and when the Chinese counterattacked in the winter of 1950-51, the first United States Marine Division was caught in a group of reservoirs, the main one being Chosin, and had to fight its way out back down towards friendly lines in South Korea. And it's one of the outstanding engagements of the 3 years of the Korean War. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, there was actually some Royal Marine Commandos and maybe some Australians, maybe some Canadians as well, because they're all, the Australians are just not that far away from Korea. And the Royal Marines and the Canadians, I believe, were in Hong Kong. So when when the UN decided, I'll go over it. Right, this is going to get complicated. If I talk about the history of the Korean War, it's going to get really complicated because the Korean War is a complicated war. But let's start from the beginning, otherwise I'm going to go into massive tangents. I'm going to be like Lindy Beige. Anyway, so this is a supplement for bolt action, and it gives you everything you need in here to play most of, if not all of the factions and forces that fought in Korea from June 1950 until June 1953. The war lasted pretty much 3 years to the day. So let's flick through the book and we'll look at a few odds and sods. And I'll try not to I'll go over massive tangents about the war. Anyway, so normal contents. Okay, this is Korean. There's a really nice picture of that is an M46 pattern with M60. An M46 pattern. It was first used in Korea. Didn't do that well. Just like the Pershing didn't do that well in World War II, but the Pershing in Korea did really well. And the what did I just call this? The pattern. Sorry. Didn't do that well, but then it got tweaked from combat experience, and then when things like Vietnam and other things happened, the pattern was actually a very good tank. Anyway, so some awesome artwork. This is a picture depicting what happened at the Imjin River, the last stand of the Gloucester Regiment. Again, in this is this goes all about the Korea history of Korea. This is a map of Korea. Now, Korea is a little bit that hangs off the bottom of China, and Japan is just this is the Sea of Japan, as you can see. Japan is just over here. So Korea has been occupied by both China and Japan in most of its history, and just after the Second World War, Korea had been under Japanese control since 1905, I believe. So 40 years of Japanese control. once the Japanese surrendered in 1945. And then, yeah, that's when everything was split, because the North was under the sphere of influence of the Soviets, and belatedly the South was under the sphere of influence of the Allies, just because they didn't want the Soviets to get the whole lot, which is quite a cynical way of doing things. Anyway, this is all about Korea. Then we've got a timeline of everything, and then we've got some the usual bolt action book. There's scenarios going through everything. There we go. Got the Incheon, which is the thing that saved the Allies, mainly the Americans, and that is Korea pretty much as it is now. And there's lots of scenarios and stuff like that. And the Chinese, because the American forces pushed, or the American and South Korean forces pushed too close to China, Chinese went, no, not having any of this, and invaded, and then pushed the South Koreans and Americans and the other UN contingents, which, as I said, included British, Canadian and Australian forces, pushed them back below the 38th parallel in a very horrific winter. Korea is a land of opposites. Its summers are blisteringly hot, and its winters are incredibly cold. You get the best or the worst of both. So here's the usual stuff, and I'm going to keep flicking through until we get to right. Here we go. Here's the first army list. This is the North Koreans People's Army. As you can see, they have the T-34, as the Koreans were supplied by the Russians. Sorry, North Koreans were supplied by the Russians. They've got these lovely colour plates giving you colour schemes to paint your miniatures. And it is a standard bolt action army list. So there you go. There's your compulsories, a lieutenant, first or second, and 2 infantry squads. Then there's stuff you can have. And then there's loads of different squads. It's quite similar to the Soviets. There's conscripts, there's LMGs, SMGs, veterans. There's guerrilla cells, which is very similar to the, I think it's Burning Empires, the book about China and Burma in the stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, standard. Here's some nice KK models. Go again. Then we've got the Republic of Korea. These are the South Koreans, and these were supplied by the Americans. As you can see by the uniforms there, they're very American. There's a guy at the back, even though there's a Korean quilted snowsuit on, the helmet, equipment and rifle are all American. And again, it's the same setup as before, infantry squads, veteran stuff, yeah. Then we've got the United States and the United Nations. And this is very similar to the World War II Americans, but with a couple of interesting units. This one here, and this, and the British and Commonwealth forces. This is the seasoned NCO. So this is a separate unit. Basically, it's like having a second officer. There's only 50 points. You have up to 2 men, and you can have the weapons that you want to do. So with the plastic kits available for the Americans and British and what have you, it's a very good way of depicting these. And it basically gives you another officer. It upgrades. So I'm trying to read the rules now. Basically, if your officer is killed, he acts as a second lieutenant, which is very cool. And then there's a Marine there at Chosin. And then we go through. There's different vehicles. So you've got your standard Shermans, because I had Shermans, and the Shermans didn't fare very well against the T-34s. So you've got Sherman 75, Sherman 76. You have down there, you have the Pershing, which actually did really well, as I said before. And then you have the Patton. just there. And I'll quickly flip through to the British and Commonwealth. Oh, another thing I noticed, helicopters. You can use helicopters for reconnaissance and observation of your artillery and medivacs. So that's another interesting development. And then the thing, this one here is a picture of the British and Commonwealth infantry section in summer uniform. So they have the Australian style bush hats. I believe in winter they were reverted to their steel helmets that they wore in the Second World War. But the thing the British have, if I can find it, I've gone too far, is this, the Centurion. Possibly the best tank of the era and the best British tank ever built. And still in service, came into service about 1946 and left service just after the first Gulf War in 1991. And I think it's still in service in some African and South American countries. It's amazing, an amazing tank. Such versatility and diversity. It was engineering tanks, different gun. Yeah, amazing tank, and you can have it in bolt action, and it's not that many, not that bad. Regular, it's 385 points, which is on the par for a Tiger, so not bad at all. And then we have the Chinese. Sorry, we have the People's Republic of China Army List, which is again exactly the same. There's another colour plate, which is brilliant. I said this war is very brutal, very, very often overlooked. We've got theatre selectors, and this is good because it splits into the beginning of the Korean War when everyone was using World War II type equipment, and it splits into the end of the Korean War when everyone was using infrared and jet fighters and all the new tanks and equipment. So it's really good the way it splits everything up. And there's a bit in this, if I can find it, that goes on about how to represent the other, here we go, the other nations that fought, because there was 22 nations in all, I believe, that fought in the Korean War, not just the ones I've mentioned, the British, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders. So we have Ethiopians, Colombia, Greece, the Dutch, French, where else? The Philippines, South Africa, Thailand, Turkey. Again, we've got these lovely colour plates depicting all their uniforms, which is very cool. So if you want to get some miniatures and stuff, and then it gives you some lists and rules on how to depict. Oh my good God, I can't speak. How to depict those nations in games set in Korea. And there's selectors for British Commonwealth and there's selectors for Korea. And then at the very end there's personalities. There's an American one, a British one, a Chinese one, and a Korean one. So there you go. This is amazing. It's over 200 pages long, and it gives you a massive amount of history. And you're probably quite glad, if you're still with me, that I didn't ramble on about the history, because it's an amazingly interesting conflict, especially the way it continues on today with the troubles in North and South Korea. Yeah, so it's a really, really good supplement. It's a good way of just using your World War II bolt action armies and just add a more advanced tank or a more advanced unit just to represent Korea. Then you can just go straight in, use your bolt action rules and play Korea. So, as usual guys, do check out our affiliates and sponsors, links in the description. Don't forget we're also on Patreon, so if you can spare $1 or $2, that really helps us getting pre-orders in and stuff like that, so we can give back to you and show you all this lovely stuff that's being produced by all these lovely companies. And as usual guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.